Hello everyone, this is AzVent with a guide on the Gacha system of Neverness Everness, a supernatural open-world RPG launching globally on April 29th. This will be our first of a series of videos covering everything you need to know about this anticipated Gacha title. The team over at Hotta Studio has given me the opportunity to take an early look, and I hope to use that to better help others prepare for the upcoming release. Just keep in mind that the footage shown here is still beta content, so the information is subject to change. If there are any updates, any developments, I'll make sure to keep you all up to date as they occur. And with that, let's get into the Gacha system. Once you get into the game, over in the top right, you're going to see that little dice icon. It's going to be F3 keybind. We're going to go into that. That's going to pull up the Scarborough Fair. And here is where we have the Gacha system. Now, in the beta that I'm currently playing, it only has the standard banner, known as Strange Encounters. But we do have some information from previous betas that will give us an idea of what to expect when the game launches in full. Before we get into the banners though, I do want to go over the different gacha currency. For those of you not familiar with gacha games, they typically have different ranges of currency. So currency that you can obtain for free, currency that you can obtain with money, and then currency that you convert that into to actually get your pulls going. We'll go ahead and pull up the shop here. So the first thing we're going to see is the paid currency, that is these Rift Crystals. We don't have any pricing on the beta. I would wait until the full release to get that information, but just keep in mind that this rare currency here will be used in the fashion shop. It'll also be available to convert into Analyth, which is the free-to-play currency. This currency you can obtain in-game through story, through events, side content, tutorials. Pretty much anything the game has to offer will probably have some form of Analyth in it, and this is what you can obtain to convert into dice. There's two different versions of dice. There's the fabricated dice, that is what's used on the standard banner. And then going back over the shop here, we can also see the solid dice. This is what's going to be used for the limited character banner. There is also a third currency, the tri-keys. This will be used in the arc or the weapon banner for the game. While there is no standard weapon banner, there will be a limited weapon banner available, and we'll get into that detail in just a moment. Going back to the Strange Encounters, the standard banner, we can go over the rates in detail. We scroll down over here. We'll find that each role has a 0.99% chance of being an S-class character. Out of that roster of S-class characters, that's going to be the 6 golden ones you see here, so Sakiri, Baichang, Hathor, Badia, Daffodil, and Zhou Yuan. You also have the chance of taking A-class characters. We'll get into those rates in just a second here. So 0.99% chance of obtaining an S-class character. That chance is split between the available ones, so you have an even chance of getting each one anytime you were to hit an S-class. As for the A ranks, that's going to be a 22.98% chance of any A-class. And that's split between A-class characters and A-class arcs or weapons. The A-class character roster is going to include Skia, Mint, Haniel, Edgar, and Adler. And then we also have the arcs, and that's going to be a large range of different arc options. I'll be covering over different arcs types and what you want to look for when equipping arcs in a future video. And the remaining chance of getting anything out of this banner is the B-class arcs. So these are going to be the lower rarity arcs. You may find some use for them early on, but you will eventually want to go into A-class or S-class arcs as you build up your account. And those B-classes are going to be 65.33, so that's going to be the majority of what you're getting, as is often the case with these gacha games. Before we get into the dupes, there are some guarantees. Let's see. So right here, for the A-class arc, every 10 rolls is going to guarantee one of them, and it's going to be between that split of characters and arcs. It's a 20% chance of getting a character or an 80% chance of getting an arc. So the majority are going to be arcs, but you do have the chance of getting some of the characters from the roster. As for the S-class, the way that the S-class pity works, there is a hard pity of 90 rolls. In the absolute worst case scenario, you would need 90 fabricated dice to get one S-class character. But there are some systems in place to help the players out. Once you get past 70 rolls, you enter what's commonly referred to in the gacha community as soft pity. The way this is represented in the board is that there will be a larger number of tiles showing S-class characters, and the odds go from 0.99% per roll to 19.59% per roll, so over 20 times the odds. And that's going to start at pull 71 and go all the way to pull 89. From what we've seen in previous betas and current testing is that most players will see an S-class around the 71 to 80 range, which I would say is typical of games like the Hoyo games, so Zenless Zone Zero, Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact. As opposed to other gacha games, the awakenings in Neverness to Everness can be toggled, and you can toggle them in any order, so you don't necessarily have to go from 1 through 6. Let me go ahead and demo that for you here. So if we pull up Nonali, and we go to Awaken, we can see all 6 available here. And as it mentions, you can activate freely to switch between effects. Each one of them will have their own effect, whether it's buffing damage, providing utility, so on and so forth. Each character has their own awakenings that they can use. And then on top of that, there's what's known as a resonance effect. So while the awakening effects are toggleable, the resonance effects are permanent, and you will obtain that at 3 awakenings and at 6 awakenings. The 3 awakenings one will increase the skill levels of your basic, your skill, and your ultimate by 1. And then the bonus at 6 awakening is a passive unique to that character. So for Nonali, for example, you can see it increases her damage by additional 10%. These stat passives, so far from what I've seen, are pretty minor. They don't change up the game too much. Like for Hathor, ignores 10% of defense while in emergency delivery state. That is her ultimate state. We have Sakiri's as another example. For each negative effect on the target, Sakiri deals additional damage. But they're not sizable increases as far. These are really meant to just be like small bonuses on the character for getting these duplicates. And then on top of that, for both S-class and A-class, you get what's known as warp pieces. These warp pieces can be used in the shop. So you can see here, these can be used to convert it into more pulls, so more dice for both limited, standard character banners, along with the weapon banner. There's also a monthly supply of being able to get the standard S-class character. These cost around 30 pulls, so whether or not you decide to go for the S-class here is really up to whether that character is a favorite of yours or you really need them for a team. I would recommend holding off on these typically because those 30 pulls can be used towards limited characters, and not only limited characters but also limited cosmetics. When you are first starting out in the standard banner, there is what's known as the beginner discount. You may have seen this in other gacha games with your first set amount of standard pulls are discounted. Here it's a 20% discount. So your first 5 10x pulls will only cost you 8 dice per 10x roll. This does not count towards the singles. It has to be a 10x roll. And then once you do those 5 10x rolls, then it'll go to the normal price of being 10x dice per 10x roll. But also, when you do that, once you get to 50, you get a character selection bonus. This is a standard character selector available one time. It's permanent, so you don't have to worry about rushing it. And that'll let you pick any of the 6 standard characters. So even if you don't get one within those 50 rolls, you'll still be able to select whichever one you want here. And then on top of that, you'll be around 40 pulls away from getting another S-class character off of the actual board itself, provided you didn't get lucky beforehand. So getting a solid start early on, being able to pick a character that you want, and then also being able to get yourself set up for another character down the line. I would say that covers everything for the standard banner. Now, again, we don't have the limited banners available, but we do have some gracious members of the community that provided a chart for us. Shoutouts to Cybergamer over on Reddit. Let me go ahead and pull that up here. So this chart lists not only the standard banner, but also the limited banner, arc banner, and some information on the different cosmetic options available. So the way that this goes, the limited character banner, from what we've seen in previous betas, functions exactly the same as the standard character banner, with the addition of the cosmetics, so glider skin, vehicle skin, and character skin. That means the same rates for S-rank characters and A-class characters, and then the same soft pity after 70 pulls and the hard pity at 90 pulls when it relates to the characters themselves. In previous gacha games or other gacha games that are available, you may have seen a 50-50 rate, so whenever you pull an S-class character on a limited banner, you would get a 50% chance of actually getting that limited character and a 50% chance of not getting them. Instead, you would get a standard character. That is not the case in Neverness to Everness. If you pull an S-class character on the limited banner, you are guaranteed to get that character every time, which I greatly appreciate. That means anybody pulling, so long as they have enough pulls to guarantee the S-class, they will get the S-class that they want. The challenge comes if you want to push a little further to get the cosmetics. So you can see here we have rates for the glider skin at 1.71%, vehicle skin at 0.33%, and character skin at 0.33%. So the glider skin has greater odds than an S-class character, but the vehicle skin and character skin are a third of the rate. So it's going to be a bit of a climb to get there, but there are hard pities for those as well. You can see that glider skin hard pity at 50, so you can get that pretty early on. You'll typically get that before you get the S-class character. Vehicle skin is at 120 and character skin is at 200. So by the time you get the character skin, you will have at least 2 S-class characters, maybe even 3 if you're lucky. Whenever you are pulling for a limited, I always recommend only pulling what you can guarantee, but there is an upside to this. The pity in limited character banners does carry over to other character banners. So let's say we have Nonali, and you go for Nonali, but you aren't able to get her, and you got to 70 pity. By the time another character comes out, like Hotori or Lacrimosa, you'll be able to use that pity to guarantee them. The caveat comes to the cosmetics. While the pity does carry over, it does not carry over to other character banners. It only carries over when that character comes back. So if you try to go for Nonali's character skin, that pity will not show back up until Nonali reruns again in the future. And while the character dupes themselves have the awakenings, there aren't any dupes for the skins, but you do get your currency rebated. And the only banner that we have left to cover is the limited arc weapon banner. So this functions a bit differently. Like I mentioned, we have the tri-keys for the arc weapons banner. That's the currency that you use to go in. That currency not only can be used for the arcs weapon banner, but it can also be used to purchase S-class arcs here. Keep in mind that these S-class arcs are actually available in-game for free. You can get 1 copy typically through anomaly boss fights, and then from there, if you wanted extra copies, you would have to earn them through the arc selection. There are also some A-class arcs available. When it comes to spending the tri-keys in the arc selection, I would typically hold off. I would recommend saving that for the limited arc banners. And then when it comes to the actual way the arc banner functions, as opposed to being able to do 1 pull or a 10 pull as you can in the limited character banner, you can only do 10 pulls in the arc weapon banner. And then we can see here the rates for a base S rank is 3%, so that includes both standard and the limited arc weapon banner. If you were to hit an S-class arc, there is a 25% chance of that being the limited one and a 75% chance of being one of the standard options. When it comes to soft pity, that's going to be at 6 10 pulls. So at 60 pulls, you can get any S rank, and that will be at that 25-75 rate. And then at 8 10 pulls, so 80 pulls total, you are guaranteed to get the limited weapon. Like the limited character banner, this does carry over to any future banners. So if you go for Nonali's arc, but you aren't able to afford it, you can put that towards a future banner. When it comes to dupes, for arc banners, that's what's known as mixed intensity or mixing. That can go from M1 through M5. Let me go ahead and get that pulled up here to give you an example. So whenever you have an arc, you can go to develop it and mix it. Mixing involves feeding a duplicate copy to it. When you do so, that will increase the passive stats that you get out of the arc. You can see here it's increasing the attack, the basic attack, and critical riposte damage. It's also increasing the damage to bosses over at the bottom here. Now these duplicates do not increase the base stats, so the attack and whatever main stat is on the arc, that will not be increased. It only increases the passive. And I believe that covers everything for the limited arc banner. From here, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual banner system itself, because it functions a bit uniquely compared to other gacha systems, where other gacha systems will just have you pull and it'll show you what you got. This has a bit more flair, a bit more pizzazz, known as the Scarborough Fair. Let's take a look and see what we got going on. So you can see here, the Scarborough Fair functions as a board state. It's like a little board game. You go around the map and each tile has its own rewards. The way that these rewards function is that when you land on the tile, you get different items. So we have, for example, the apprentice chest here. This has a 0.2% chance of being an S-class character, while being a 99.8% chance of being a B-class arc. The hero chests, or the golden ones, are going to be a 3% chance, so a much higher rate, with a 97% chance of being a B-class arc. There are also some Journey Together tiles here. You'll see the A rank character and the S rank character. If you land on these, you are guaranteed to get that respective item. In the standard banner, which one you get is random, but in the limited banner, this S-class one will actually be the limited character. Some additional items you may see here is the warp pieces. This will award you X amount of warp pieces or X amount of lost pieces. There's also the Arclight mystery box. It will reward you a random A-class arc. You can also earn additional dice on this. You can see over at the top here we have one fabricated dice that you can earn by landing on the tiles. In game it's referred to as roll again. While it's not available in the standard one here, there is a multiple surprises tile available in the limited banner that will reward you 5 solid dice. Now I would say that covers everything that we've seen so far. Let's go ahead and try jumping in. So as we go into the 50, so this is going to be the beginner discount. Let's jump into it. So as you roll the dice, it's going to move those tile spaces. You can see we got ourselves a B-class arc on the hero chest. Now we're going to move 2 more dice, get an apprentice chest. That's another B-class. And this is the gacha system, so the odds of us getting an S-class early are pretty low. But we can always hope, right? Looks like we got ourselves some lost pieces, so that's going to be going into the shop. Rolling a 6, very nice. Didn't get to land into this section here with the S-class, but it is what it is. Another chest, another B-class arc. And you can fast forward this as well here. Speed things up. And it can speed up pretty good. Once it finishes up, it'll show you everything that you got. You can see all the different arcs that we got, currency. You can also see this is the extra rewards, so you earn additional warp pieces and lost pieces for pulling duplicates and different arcs. You also get additional war pieces and lost pieces while pulling on the standard banner specifically. Let's go ahead and jump to another roll here. And if you don't want to see this at all, you can skip it in its entirety. And you can see that we got ourselves some more currency and some more arcs. Looks like we also triggered the Guardian event. So where's that? There it is. So this Guardian event, the way it works is that when it appears, it'll flee 9 tiles ahead of you. And then you have 3 dice rolls to catch up to it. As you roll dice, it'll move ahead 2 more spaces. So it's not going to give it to you for free. If you do manage to catch up to it, you will be rewarded additional warp pieces, which can be used in the shop. If you don't catch up to it in time, it'll disappear and you feel sad. But that's just how the dice rolls sometimes, you know? Let's go ahead and jump in. Looks like we were able to catch up to it. So we did get those pieces. Oh. Looks like we got ourselves an A-class character. We got Skia. So if we were able to get Skia, I already have Skia, so it's going to be rewarding the war pieces. This beta account already has max dupes, which is why you're not seeing the dupe for Skia, but if this were an additional copy normally, you would see those dupes there. We're at 3 out of 5 now. Let's go ahead and roll. Oh, we got another character from the looks of it. Looks like it is Edgar.
Hello, I'm Edgar, here to apply for the Anomaly Hunter position.
Another character. Okay, we're getting a bit luckier here. Adler.
Alois V. Adler. At your service.
Good old Adler. So 2 characters out of that one. And we're getting a pretty fair amount of A ranks between the war pieces and the characters. And we got an arc as well. 1 more discounted pull here. And looks like we landed ourselves on the secret fair. So this gives us an opportunity to get that S-Class character, along with some additional rewards. But it looks like we just missed them. But that's okay,
Blessing?
because we got the
Or
S-Class
curse?
anyway.
See for yourself.
Bye, Cham. Good to see you. Oh, we got another character. We got Hania.
Since this is our first meeting, why don't we take a photo together?
We got that shiny S-Class effect, just making sure you know what you got. So we got pretty lucky. We got an S-Class right at the 50. And then on top of that, we also now have the option for the selector. So if you were able to get lucky by getting an S-Class before the 50, you can use that selector to get somebody else. If you didn't get lucky, you could wait until you get the S-Class, and then from there, use that to make sure you don't get a duplicate. Early on, I typically recommend trying to build out your roster. Helps progress content, helps you when you get into the end game modes, and you just have more fun with more characters. And with that, that wraps up everything you know so far about the Gacha system in Neverness to Everness. If this information was helpful to you, please leave a like and comment which content you'd like to see me cover next. If you're looking for more NtE content, make sure to subscribe, as I do plan to make more videos on NtE as it gears up for global release on April 29th. Thank you again for watching. See you all soon in Heathero, and until next time, peace.